Your journey can only begin when the self-doubts stop. The first step is harnessing your bravery within. Believing in you is your host, Sean Williams. Hello and good day to you all. My name is Sean, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to another Persevering as an Introvert episode on Bravery Within. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. I just want to let you guys know that the episodes continue to grow. The podcast as a whole is continuing to grow, which I think is pretty darn cool when you really think about it. We've had a total of over 2,500 downloads so far to date. And you guys are listening to it on pretty much any forum. I mean, we've got Apple, we've got Spotify, we've got Pandora. You know, it's amazing how you guys are tuning in. Thank you for, the comments you guys are leaving on my YouTube page and liking them. That means the world to me and kind of lets me know where you guys want to go with all of the series. So thank you so much there for, tuning in. I can't thank you guys enough. It's really amazing that you guys take a few minutes of your day there to listening to me. I know it's kind of funny, but when you get somebody like me that's so closed off as an introvert and it's like nobody wants to listen to me, and I honestly thought when I first started out these series that nobody was going to listen to me. I figured for sure that I'd make a few of them and they would just flop and nobody would tune in. But you guys have proved me wrong. Thank you so much for proving me wrong. It's nice to be wrong once in a while. I mean, yeah, I'm wrong most of the time there. But, in this case here, I was proved wrong. I told my son, my manager, my best friend, Alex, I said, you know what? These aren't going to go, but I said, I'll give them a try anyway, and you guys have proved me wrong. So thank you so much for proving me wrong. So today what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with you something that I'm hoping that will get you through the holiday season. As an introvert, you're always paranoid about family get-togethers or the company Christmas parties. Oh, those terrify me. Just having to make the small talk and hang out. There's some people that I work with a lot of good people. Don't get me wrong. I'm very, very fortunate to work with a lot of good people. They're very hardworking. They show up to work every day. But it's still the point is when you're an introvert, just the thought of being, in a closed area, making small talk, it's kind of like, it's really, really scary and it's really, really tough for us. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to do an episode to help you get through some of these. So episode 16 is called Enjoying the Holiday Season. Now, in doing some research for this, and I had my notes all down, so after I get done, typically what I do is I outline what I'm going to talk about. And then I go back and I do a little bit of research to find out how are other introverts doing it, or what are other thoughts, and I always came back to surviving the holidays. And to me, that's such a kind of a negative incantation of it all. And you're supposed to enjoy the holiday season, and that's why I labeled my episode "Enjoying the Holiday Season," because I wanted it to be positive. And I know, hang in there, guys. As my introvert family and friends out there, as you're all listening to this, I know it's terrifying, and you have your places to go. But one thing that I have found over the years is I have found ways of getting through where it still allows me to enjoy the holiday season, but it keeps it to a minimum of the human contact there. Now, do I like the traditions that we have? I love the food, the fun, the smiles, the jokes, the laughing, getting together, playing cards. All of it goes together, and I do enjoy that. Don't get me wrong. I don't want anybody to misconstrue that I don't care, because I absolutely love the holiday season. I love getting together with everybody. And for the first 25 years, I haven't done it in the past couple because things have changed in my household. But probably for the first 25 years, I was responsible for cooking the Thanksgiving dinner. And that meant all the prep work, the starting 2 weeks ahead of time, making sure you had the foods, getting everything put together, coordinating with everybody, making sure that they brought their sides or whatever they were going to bring. And it got to be a lot. And then it come to the day of, because you always prep the day before, and then you have the day of cooking, so you live in the kitchen all morning, because everything I did is homemade. I didn't get anything from a box. I mean, the stuffing was homemade, the turkey, the mashed potatoes, the gravy, but I think the only thing that I probably bought, it was the cranberries in a can, the round ones, the best ones, not the ones with the seeds, but the ones that actually come in as a round and you pour them out of the can and it just blop right into a bowl, But that's about the only thing I think that was made. Everything else, the deviled eggs and everything else was all homemade. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the heck out of it, and it was an agreement that my mom and I had between us before she passed on, God rest her soul, that I would take one of the holidays and then she would take the other one. She liked Christmas and I loved Thanksgiving, cooking the turkey, the stuffing, and all of that stuff. So I took Thanksgiving and she took Christmas because she absolutely adored Christmas, and she had so many different place settings. She had the knives, she had the silverware, the glasses, the cookware, everything coordinated, the tabletop and everything else. And I've got a friend that does the exact same thing. In fact, I think she's been planning for doing the Christmas meal, I think, since probably last Christmas. And I'm going to catch a lot of guff for that one, and I know I will. But and she does a wonderful job at it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's kind of like Norman Rockwell kind of, showed up at her house. That's pretty much what it looks like. It's incredible. It's so much fun to be a part of it. But what I wanted to do today was talk to you, because it's not only Thanksgiving. I mean, there's other holidays out there. You've got Christmas and you got Hanukkah. You've got, New Year's Day. You've got all of these things that are all kind of wrapped up, that are all slammed together, because we've passed Halloween now. And we're into basically the family holidays. I don't know how else to really classify them, but those are the ones where we all get together and we're all in the same room, and it starts to get overwhelming real fast. But what I wanted to do today is try to give you some tips that I have done in the past, and I still continue. I'll still do this year. That's helped me to get through the holiday season by enjoying it, not just surviving it, but by actually enjoying the holiday. And these things really helped me, and we'll go through them here in a little bit here. But because we all have those relatives that are just like, okay, got to make small talk with them. You get along with them, but that's about it. There's nothing really more than that. And you only really see them on the holidays, and you've got friends that are the same way. So, I've come up with some survival skills, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why I liked doing the Thanksgiving dinner, because I was forced to be in the kitchen all morning. Most people, when they get together, they're not big on, having a bunch of people in the kitchen. Most everybody's either in the dining room talking, playing cards or games, or they're watching football or some sort of sports out in the living room. So for the most part, the kitchen was pretty much left alone. And that's kind of like where I like to hide. And it sounds kind of weird, because it's like, well, you're doing a lot of work. Yes, I'm doing a lot of work. I'm not, arguing that point, but I enjoyed it. But there was always a lot less people. It seems like whenever you have a big meal cooking, or any time cooking, most people avoid the kitchen for some reason, because they just like people cooking for them. And I do too. There's no doubt about it. That's why I go out to eat, because I like somebody else making the meals once in a while. But I think that's one reason that I enjoyed making the meals so much, is because I got left alone out there. And even when everything was made and the table was set, we all sat down and enjoyed the meal that was prepared for them. Then I got right back up and I started cleaning up, which took another hour and a half roughly to get everything done, while everybody's sitting there out on the couch out there in their turkey coma trying to get through. But everybody was away from me again. And I learned from, early on that most people avoid the kitchen at all costs. So I found, okay, well, I want to be in the kitchen, even though I'm not if it's not a big meal, I'm not really big on being in the kitchen. But I do still kind of hang out in there, because it makes it a little bit easier, because there's just less people. And it was kind of a saving grace for me to find this. And everybody always looked and go, well, what do you want to make the meals for? Well, I always said, well, I like cooking for my family. But one of the reasons that I never basically told them was everybody avoids the kitchen, let's be honest. Or they're outside playing horseshoes, or throwing the frisbee, or whatever they were doing. They were just away from the kitchen, which allowed my mom and I to have almost some personal time to enjoy the holiday together. We would talk, we would catch up, reminisce. She got to basically do things at her speed and not at everybody else's speed, because I basically set the tempo, and I set the tempo to make my mom happy. My mom was my greatest supporter with all my books. She was always behind me. She was always helping. She was just very loving, very caring. She was just, unfortunately, she's part of the older generation that we're losing them big time. And they were the ones that always cared. They always had the big hearts. They always sent you home with food. If there was 3 people coming over for supper, she made enough food for 14. She just wanted to make sure that you just never, that's how they showed their love, was by feeding. And that's probably one of the reasons why I was really, really big, because Mom really loved me, and that was awesome. And I miss her every day. I'm not lucky enough to be able to call her when I need her anymore. I don't have anybody that I can do that with. So, but the neat part about all of that is we got some personal time together. And even in the cleanup time, after everything was said and done, everybody avoided the kitchen. They were a little bit more helpful once in a while and stuff, cleaning up, but it was still a nice point of, by that time it's 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'd been in the kitchen for 8 hours, and I was actually getting kind of tired of it. So, before I got too crazy and sat down with everybody else, I went outside and sat on the deck and just allowed the cooler air to cool me down, because the kitchens get warm with everything. And that happened even with Christmas time. Mom and I would take care of a lot of the stuff there. Yes, my sister would jump in from time to time and help out, or my brother-in-law. My son was really good about jumping in because he was really close with my mom. So but it was always a smaller group, which was nice. So it wasn't the overwhelming, because sometimes we'd have 14, 16, 18 people in the house there that were invited over for the holidays. Well, in a 2,000 square foot house, that gets to be really, really tight quarters really fast. Not that I didn't enjoy seeing the folks, because most of the time that's the only time I got to see them was the holidays, which is really sad. We only take time during the holidays to make time for family anymore. It's really sad, and we really should change that. But this busy life is just crazy, and when they live hours and hours and hours away, it's tougher to get away. But I found some different ways of coping to basically help me get through everything there. Once we got the cleaning done and everything was done, and then you always, after you get that done, then that always turned into the 17 desserts that we had set up. So then everybody does a round of desserts. And by that time, it's 3:30, and my mom and I are just wiped. But we always sat down at the table, and we always played cards. Whatever it was. I mean, it was just sometimes just, it could be just something simple as go fish. We didn't care. We just spent some time together and talked. And, Alex, my son, would jump in with us, and, it was just nice. And it was a way, because Alex is very introverted. My mom was the same way. So we all understood. And then if somebody just disappeared and was outside, we didn't take it offensively. We knew that they needed some time away, and they needed to just basically de-stress, because we all know that the holidays are, there's a lot there going on. So, I would step out, Mom would step out, Alex would step out, just anything there basically, to take a break, because it's not that, like I said, it's not that we didn't like seeing the people. We did. We loved seeing them. We loved talking with them. We loved sitting down and having a meal with them. It was really, really nice. But as an introvert, that is the social niceties that we go through. Holy smokes, that will drain you. I couldn't tell you. It took 3 days after Thanksgiving and after Christmas for my batteries to recharge. And I always tried to make sure that I had the day off after, so that way it allowed me more time to recharge, so I didn't jump right back in the workforce, because I was so afraid that if I went right back to work, that I would end up just snapping at somebody or growling at them, because my batteries were out. There was nothing left. I've done so much talking and so much work, so much, small chat, all of that stuff. There was too many people around you. It just gets to a point where it's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I need a break. So I always tried to make sure that I had the day off after the holidays to basically, for me, I mean, it was basically, it was survival at that point, because it was like, okay, I've got to find a way to basically settle back down, get back into my routines. And especially after Christmas, you always bring home all the presents and stuff. Those all need to be put away. There's always so much stuff, and you may want to put up some of the gifts that you got. There's just always so much going on. And don't get me wrong, I love the holidays. They're the best time of the year. And honestly, I wish there was a way to take the holidays and stretch them out longer, just mainly because everybody seems to be in a little bit happier mood. This world is so difficult and so tough anymore, that any chance that you can be happy, then you should go for it. Just like us, it's beginning of, today is November 7th, and we've already got outside, we've got all of our Christmas decorations up. and people will drive by and smile and wave. And I've had some people, say, why do you have them up already? It's not even Thanksgiving. The point is, I want to spread as much love and joy as I can. And if that means putting up a bunch of colored lights, then that's what I do. And if you don't like them, that's okay. You don't have to acknowledge them. You don't have to appreciate them or nothing there. But there's a lot of people that do appreciate them, and helps. They may have a bad day and they come flying by the house, and they see the lights up in the tree or the ones on the deck, and hopefully it puts a little bit of a smile on their face. And that's why we put them up so early. And and I put them on timers so I don't have to turn them on, turn them off. Once they're plugged in, boom, done. I don't worry about them until I take them back down. I learned a long time ago that I like to come home and the lights are on. It's really, really cool when you can do that and you don't have to turn them on yourself. So what kind of like with all my podcasts, all I try to do is I'm trying to, basically spread some joy, some happiness, kind of like that candle in the window where if you're on the outside and you're looking for a little bit of hope, that's what I'm kind of hoping my podcasts are like, is to try to help you guys out a little bit, to give you kind of a safe zone, a happy place to go to when you just need a little encouragement or you need just a little bit of go juice to try to keep going. And I hope that's what these turn out to be. So that's why I wanted to talk about today about enjoying the holidays and not just simply surviving the holidays. So I've already covered a couple things so far that I do to help me get through the holidays, and it is overwhelming. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's very draining on us introverts. And I know my extrovert friends and family out there, if you're listening to this, you guys probably don't always understand why we need time to back off or just time to breathe. And I'm hoping that these podcasts will help you understand that a little bit more. But it's not that we don't love you guys or we don't want you guys around. Just know that we have a limited amount of energy that we can use for social interaction, and when we run out and we run out fast, that's it. I mean, you got to give us a little bit of a break. That's all we're asking, and that will allow us to enjoy the holidays a little bit more. But I came up with some things that I do to help me get through the holidays that allows me to enjoy them and not just survive them, and without feeling too burnt out afterwards. I mean, the last thing you want to do is go through the holidays after all the work and all the money that we spend, and there's a lot of you that do a ton of traveling to enjoy the holidays. And the last thing that you want after all of this is said and done is to be upset with them, or it just, you're just mad at yourself basically, because it's like, that's just too much. I just don't want to do that anymore. So I'm hoping some of these things here will help you a little bit. And if you have other ideas that I don't cover in today's episode, please go to my Facebook page and share them. I am always up for a new idea on how to get through the holidays so I can enjoy them a little bit more. I love the holidays. Like I keep saying, I absolutely love them. But there's always new tricks and there's so many people out there, and you guys are my family and friends. So if you guys have a way that you choose to get through them, put them on my Facebook page so we can share them with the rest of our introvert family and friends. It'll just help everybody out. But these are just some of the things that I do that helps me get through the holidays so I can continue to enjoy them and they don't feel so overwhelming. Like I already said, I make sure that I have the next day off to allow myself time to recharge. And to me, going through the holidays, if there's anything basically that I can try to get through to you with this podcast, is self-care. You have to make sure you take care of yourself first. Make sure you don't burn out. Don't push yourself too hard. And you have to understand that sometimes that means saying no. And I know we don't like saying that because we want to be there for our family and friends and we want to try to help and do all we can. But you have to think about, your self-care first. Make sure you get enough rest. So that's why I always make sure that I have the next day off to allow myself time to recharge and basically de-stress. And I found that helps out huge. You're not, going through all of this and then diving right back into the workforce where everybody's demanding things of you. You're going to be behind because you missed work, because typically work is closed for the holidays. So there's you got all these emails and phone calls and voicemails and all these letters and all this work that needs to be done. That is so overwhelming. And that's, if you're burnt out from the holidays where you pushed too hard, didn't get enough rest, didn't worry about yourself enough, that can be just way too much. That can pretty much just push you over the edge. And trust me, I've been there, I've done it, and it's no fun. So that's why I make sure that I always have the next day off. It seems it works for me, it helps, and I'm hoping that's something that it will help you too. I always drive myself to wherever I am going so that I can leave when I'm ready or I start to feel overwhelmed. And that may sound a little self-centered, and I don't want it to come across that way, but knowing that you can leave at any time actually helps you want to enjoy and stay a little bit longer. I found that when I rode over with somebody, I felt almost restricted. I almost felt closed off, like I was forced to be there, and I didn't like that feeling. So I made sure that I always drove myself, so that way I could leave anytime you want to. Now, granted, there was many times, I've always had, puppies to take care of, so I try not to let them go more than about 4 hours without going outside and going to the bathroom. So, there were times that I would bring them over to my parents' house, and they loved them, and it was fine. But there were times that it just wasn't really good. You had that many feet. If you have 14, 16, 18 people, that's a lot of footies that are running around there, and they would end up getting stepped on or hurt because everybody's it's such tight quarters. So I would just end up just leaving them at home, and that gave me a chance to every 3-4 hours go back over to the house, let them out, give them a half hour to run around. That allowed me to de-stress and basically recharge for just a little bit, decompress, so I could go back over there and continue to actually enjoy the holiday and not feel so overwhelmed and not locked at a location. Another thing that I do is I take frequent breaks and go outside, away from all the noise and the chaos of the holiday. Many times, even when I was cooking, there's always, when you throw the turkey in the oven, there's always, you got everything prepped. There's always an hour and a half in there, 2 hours while the turkey's cooking, where you can't really get anything else going. You can't get the stuffing or the mashed potatoes or anything like that there. You're kind of in a dead zone. So during that time, I made sure that I always sat out on the deck for as long as I possibly could. And that's when my mom and I would talk, or my son and I would talk, or anything like that there. Or if I was lucky enough, my sister was there, we would talk. And I would just take a lot of breaks, and I would just go outside. One, of course, the kitchen is hot because you have all of that heat and everything, from the ovens and the hot water and everything else going. So I had to go outside and cool down. So what I learned was take frequent breaks, even if you only go outside for 3-4 minutes. You'd be surprised in how much you can decompress during that time. Just knowing, okay, I got a break. Okay, I can go in and I can handle a little bit more. So I made sure that I always took frequent breaks, and people would sometimes follow me out, which is okay as long as they, stayed a safe distance away and allowed me to decompress a little bit. And then I was fine. And, during typically during Thanksgiving and Christmas, especially up here in Podunk where we are, it's typically a lot cooler. So when you step outside, it might be only 10, 15, 20, 30 degrees. Well, as soon as you step out and you've been in a hot kitchen, it's like, oh, that feels so good. Now, I know some of you are going, Sean, there's something wrong with you. And I know not everybody likes the cold like I do. But it allowed me to, when I cooled down, it kind of like it allowed me to decompress at the same time, and really, really helped me. Another thing that I did after all said and done and I got home and got everything put away is I treated myself to something sweet. Once I actually got home and got everything put away, and then I put on some soft music to allow myself to de-stress and relax. Sometimes I would also just sit out on the deck too for a few minutes and just know that, okay, yep, I enjoyed the holidays. Yes, it was nice to see everybody, don't get me wrong, but I needed to decompress. I needed to slow down for a little bit. I needed to quit talking. I needed to be away from people, and that was my way of doing it. And if I didn't, snap at anybody or anything there, I would make sure that I had something, chocolate wise. I mean, chocolate's kind of my downfall. I admit it. Chocolate and Mountain Dew. I think everybody's figured that one out by now. But I would just treat myself to, after a full day of getting through, doing everything I needed to do, all the social niceties, the social norms, going through the holidays and everything there. I just allowed myself something to help me de-stress and relax. A lot of the time, the day after, like I said before, I always allow myself the day off after. what I would typically do at that point is on that day off there is I'd go for a drive in the hills to decompress and allow myself to recenter before going back to work. And like I said, we all, most of us get the time off, and thank you for the folks that do have to work the holidays, especially the ones in retail. Oh my goodness sakes, I don't know how you get through it. I used to do it, and I couldn't imagine going back through that again. You guys are saints for putting up with everything. But going back to work after the holidays, for me, like me, I have an office job, so there's always email sitting there. There's always voicemail sitting there. There's orders to do. People need things. So it's basically like you jump right back into a fast-moving river and you're just swept off your feet and away you go. Well, if you hit that right, the next day after the holidays, typically you haven't had time to decompress or settle down from the holidays yourself, and it just gets to be just too much. You kind of harbor a little bit of resentment for the holidays at that point, and that's not what you should be doing. You should be enjoying the holidays, because you got to spend time with the family. Because more than likely, if you're like me, you don't get to see most of those people until the next holiday, which is a year away. And then sometimes that's kind of a blessing, because us introverts, we need a lot of time and a lot of space. But in some respects, a year is a year. That's a long time, and people only have so much time on this earth, unfortunately. So you don't want to resent the holidays. You want to try to enjoy them as much as you can. So that's why I'd go for a drive in the hills, or I'd go for a walk around the neighborhood, or something like that. Just anything to get away for a few minutes, to spend some time by myself, to allow myself to decompress and settle down. That seemed to help me quite a bit. I might write more in my book. I've got several books out there. I'm working on my 7th book right now and stuff there. That allowed me to basically escape into that book, and it basically got my mind off of everything that I've been going through. All the cooking that I'd done, the baking, the gifts wrapping, the driving, the transporting, everything. You know what it all entails. So it's like, it allowed me to basically dive into another world. And for a couple hours, I could basically disconnect from my current life, and I can go into my book life, and basically allow myself to settle down, decompress, and everything would feel better. It's amazing how just disconnecting for a couple hours, how much that really, really can help you. So that's, try to find yourself some way out if you can. That's the way that I do it. Another one, I know this may sound funny, and when I wrote this down as what I do, and I'm thinking, oh, these people are going to think I fell off my rocker now, just by saying this next tip that I do. But one thing that I do, very simply, is I breathe a lot. And I know you're thinking, Sean, all right, time to go check yourself into the funny farm. You need some help. As weird as it is to say, taking a step outside, taking a step away from everything, all the chaos and all the hubbub and everything else, and just simply breathing, taking a few deep breaths. You breathe in, hold it, and then let it out and stuff there very slowly. You would be surprised at how much stress that actually takes off. And most of the time, when we were always over at my parents' house, and, being that they were a little bit older, they liked it a little bit warmer, and they always had a wood-burning stove in their house. So where I like my house at about 64, 65 degrees, their house was 83, 84 degrees. It was just such a heat overload that it was just basically too much for me. So I would step outside out on the deck, and I would just simply breathe and allow the cool air to come into my lungs, to run over my body and everything else. Because typically that was Christmas. So Christmas, there was many times we were -10, -20 for temperature wise. That's not wind chill, that's temperature wise. And so when you step out, that was quite a drastic change. But for me, it helped for me to decompress. So I would feel a little better, and I could handle a little bit more. Then I'd go back in, and that way it would allow me to enjoy being there with them a little bit more. It didn't feel so overwhelming, and I enjoyed it. I loved the holiday just that much more. Another thing that I do is I set and acknowledge my limits and what I will do for the holidays. There's only so much of me to go around, and pushing myself over those limits only creates resentment for the holidays. And I learned that early on, that if I don't set limits of what I can and can't do and what I will and won't do, and I know that sounds selfish, but there's only so much that you can handle. I mean, we've got work, you've got your regular home life, you've got your kiddos, you got your fur babies, and then you start piling on, because I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you got a house to clean, you've got groceries to do, bills to pay, laundry. I mean, there's all kinds of different things that you got to do, and then you pile on everything that you normally do for the holidays. It just gets to be too much. And that's another thing that I learned is I spread out like my Christmas gift buying. I spread it out over about 6 months. I got so tired of, doing everything in December because the bank account would just scream saying, okay, you got to quit. You've spent too much money. And most of the time, a lot of places will raise, the prices of things because they know people are going to buy it. They know it's a holiday season. They know that they're going to be able to move the merchandise, whether the price is high or not, because everybody wants it. So what that did is basically you get less, but you pay more for it. And the thing that I learned is starting in, I typically start around July. July and August is where I start doing my Christmas shopping. And I know you're probably sitting out there thinking, okay, yep, Sean, you just validated again. Just go into the funny farm, get one of those little white coats where you hug yourself, and because you need to check in, you've now lost it. But I found that spreading out the Christmas shopping allowed me to enjoy the holidays just that much more. Like right now, all my shopping is done. In fact, Alex has already even wrapped them. We don't even have a Christmas tree up yet, and yet they're all wrapped and sitting in my living room in the corner. So we've got all of that done. So I just learned that you can enjoy the holidays so much more if you don't have that pressure of, oh my goodness, I got to go out and spend all this money. I got to find a way to go to the malls, or I got to run around to, a lot of us online shop. I know that that's a great thing for introverts. That way you don't have to go out and fight the crowds at the malls or the strip malls or, just the regular stores. You can buy the stuff online and have it shipped in. I try to buy local as much as I absolutely can. There's not much that I bought online. I just chose weekends where it wasn't that busy at the stores. And I found that, Alex and I went out one weekend. It was towards the end of September. And we went through a couple stores. The nice part about it is a lot of those stores, even local ones, because that's where we went, was just to our local town here. It was about 20 minutes away because it's like a little tourist town. So they have all kinds of neat little different gifts and ideas and stuff there, but because they don't want to hang on to the merchandise through winter, they will discount it. And we got a lot of stuff 30, 40, 50% off. So we saved it. So basically what we did is we got to buy more, but we spent less, which, it helps because then you can buy nicer things for your family. Sometimes they have different, they have local artists and different things there that come up with different ideas, which is fantastic. If you've got somebody that you don't know who to buy for. So that's why I start early, because it helps enjoy the holidays just that much more. I wait. There were so many years when I was younger that I waited until December to start buying everything, or even if I waited till after Thanksgiving, it seemed like it was so rushed, because then you have Christmas cards, then you have to have all the food, you got to start prepping the desserts. Most of the time I ended up bringing a few desserts there for, the Christmas holiday, the meal and everything else. So you have all of that. We did a lot of Christmas baking where we would make 10 or 12 different desserts, and then we would buy nice plates. And then what we did is we gave that out as gifts to people that we knew, that my hairstylist or people at work or friends in the neighborhood, your next door neighbors and stuff there. And it kind of gave it a personal touch, what Christmas was meant to be, and not so commercialized. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, most of us don't have time to do the baking anymore because, it was a whole weekend thing. Don't get me wrong. We spent literally all weekend just baking the goodies. So, there was a lot of time. And now, unfortunately, with the way prices are anymore, it is so expensive. Before we could get away with $50 or $75 worth of stuff to make up the cookies, the brownies, all of that stuff. Now you're looking at $200, $250. It's not a cheap way of saying, hey, thank you, we love you, we think of you, and we took the time to make this for you. But now we want to do it, but the problem is it's so expensive. It's so hard to buy the flour, the sugar, the cocoa powder, everything else that you make for the holidays. But we're going to try to get back to that this year to the best of our abilities. But I just found that getting the shopping done early, you can buy nicer things typically. You can watch for sales. You can, even if something that's going to be out of, you can buy it on sale, but it may take 2 months to get in because, it's still being made. At least you have the time to wait. I found that took an immense amount of stress off of me, and it really, really helped. And I hope that's something that you do. So that all funnels back to setting and acknowledging my limits and what I can and will do for the holidays. Because like I said, there's only so much time for me to go around. And once you start pushing yourself over those limits, you actually find yourself resenting the holidays. And that's the last thing that you want to do. After all the time and money and effort that you've put into this, the last thing you want to do is resent the holidays, because they only come around once a year, and so you should enjoy them. Another thing that I try to do, which I'm not the greatest at on this one here, but I wanted to tell you guys about it, was getting rest. Make sure you get lots and lots of rest to help you get through. I mean, because that's one thing is we push so hard to get through the holidays. And I found that if I don't get enough rest, I have a tendency to get a little cranky. Everybody will probably agree with you on that one that knows me, is I have a tendency to be a little cranky once in a while. But I found that if I can keep rested up, or at least, keep somewhat rested, it made the holidays just a little bit better. And I enjoyed it a little bit more. So those are some of the tips that I got. I was trying to figure out some more for you, but those are the ones that I do. I'm hoping that they help a little bit there through, getting you through the holidays. But another, I had a lot of people that would get with me and say, well, you're leaving already? Because, after 4 or 5 hours, let's be honest, to an introvert, that's like a week. It's like, I can't do this anymore. I maxed out. My social meter is now out. I don't have any more go juice left in it. And people would just, say snotty comments about, how self-centered I am, or I only think of myself, or, you should be here for your family, or, just other comments that were constantly being made. And it really bothered me, because it's like, okay, you really don't understand who I am. It's not that I don't want to be here. It's not that I don't want to be a part of this. It's just too much after a while. It's just overwhelming. And I don't want to hate the holidays. I want to enjoy them, and I want to be with my family, and I want to be there for them. So one thing that I had to learn was I just had to basically take those mean and rude comments and throw them out the window and not let them bother me. And I hope you guys don't get anything like that, but I've noticed that us introverts do have the tendency to take some of those comments. We get them and we take them personally, and we really shouldn't, because it's just, there's only so much that we can handle. And that's what I'm hoping some of my extrovert family and friends out there that are listening to this, you kind of understand, because there's only so much that we can handle and we can go through. And I'm hoping that will, understand why, if we need to duck out a little bit earlier than what everybody else does, that's kind of the reason why we're pretty well maxed out and we're done. We're pretty well used up. So I don't let those comments bother me anymore. And I've gotten to a point where if you're going to say those comments and, basically try to make me feel bad, I just don't show up to your place anymore. I'll go find someplace else where they accept me and understand where I'm coming from. I know that seems almost like rude, but they're being rude to me by making those comments. So it's like, nope, I'm going to go someplace where, somebody understands me. And if they understand that, okay, I've been here 3-4 hours and I can't take anymore, they're not going to get mad at me. And those are the places that I hang out at through the holidays. So I don't resent the holidays. I can enjoy them and basically have good memories of them. I mean, I know we all have social obligations and traditions to uphold. I mean, I love tradition. I love doing the holidays pretty much the same way, time after time after time. And there's been times where we've introduced new traditions and new ways of doing things. And I'll be the first one to admit it. I mean, I got my Christmas songs that I like. I've got my, I have to have turkey at Thanksgiving, turkey and stuffing and deviled eggs. And, there's just certain things that you got to have. And understand for traditions. So, but the social obligations that go along with it can be a little bit much. So I'm hoping there's some tricks in here. And I'm hoping that, some of the things that I do might help you enjoy the holidays just a little bit more. Just do whatever you can so you don't resent the holidays. Life is so rough anymore. Life is so tough. I mean, there's so much negativity and everything else that goes right along with it. Try to find some happiness. Spend the time with the people that you want to be with and that you love, and just enjoy them. That's all I can say for the holidays there. I'm hoping that there's some tips in here that will help you get through it. Just remember, breathe. If there's anything that I can have you take away from this one, just breathe and self-care. Just make sure that, you get enough rest, you eat the foods that will help keep you going. Like me and stuff there, I'm down, 230, 240 pounds. I'm down, 6 pant sizes and 3 shirt sizes on my weight loss journey. And last year when I went through Thanksgiving, I actually ended up losing weight. Everybody goes, how in the world did you do that? Well, I was just real careful with what I ate, because I'm real careful with, my weight loss journey, because I've done so well. And I don't want to ruin it by having a good meal. I mean, it's a good meal, but I just tried to make sure that I loaded up on the proteins ahead of time. I made sure that I had eggs in the morning and sausage, anything to basically front load some protein to help me get through it. So that way I didn't dig into all of the, the candies and the cookies and the cakes and the pies and, everything else. Don't get me wrong. Oh my goodness sakes. Do I want to dive into them? Absolutely. But to me, it means too much to me to go through this weight loss journey and then it's only one day, let's be honest. I mean, it's not like it's going to end anything. So, I ate, I had my fair share of turkey, and I tried to stick to the eggs. I tried to stick to the cheeses. There's always like a meat platter and stuff. I tried to stick to that. Anything to try to eat as much protein as I can and not. But I still had my stuffing. I still had my lefse. I still had my scallop corn and everything else. But I just had smaller amounts of it. But it helped. I did good. I was proud of myself. And last year was fantastic. Christmas was probably one of the best Christmases I've had in a long time. I enjoyed the heck out of it, and we're doing the same thing this year. I'm proud to say that's our new tradition, and I love every minute of it. So I'm really looking forward to it coming up. Thanksgiving, not doing anything. Everybody else is going off doing their own thing. So Willow and I will just be driving through the hills and stopping at a campground and hanging out for a while. It's just going to be her and I, and I'll warm up a little bit of turkey. Somehow, some way, I don't know, maybe it'll be a turkey pot pie. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet, but it's kind of nice not having all of that stress on you for, making the holidays. Now, don't get me wrong, the food is fantastic, but when you get to my age and stuff there, I'm pushing 50, and it's just kind of like you can't eat as much as you can anymore, and sometimes you just feel kind of overwhelmed. So it's, for me, I'm kind of enjoying it, but I'm looking forward to Christmas, and we're going to have a big meal. It'll have, I think there's ham and turkey, and oh my goodness. I mean, she went so crazy last year on everything else. It was great. I mean, there was so much food that we couldn't even keep up. It was fantastic. So, but that's the memories that you should be thinking of. So take the steps necessary to, self-care, make sure you get some rest, make sure you don't go over your limits, but just do the best that you can. I know my introvert family out there, you guys will be fine. Step away, breathe, just whatever it takes there. Hopefully go back and listen to the podcast if you want to, and hopefully there's some things in here that will help you get through. Maybe I do something that you hadn't thought of, and it'll help you, enjoy the holidays, not survive. Don't think of it as surviving the holidays. Think of it as enjoying the holidays, and I think you'll look forward to them a little bit more. I used to say all the time, I just got to get through the holidays, survive it. And it put basically a negative tone to the whole holidays. And I was like, no, I got to get away from that. I need to find something positive. So that's why the episode's called Enjoying the Holidays. And I think that, there's something in here that will help you as well. So, okay, that's all I got for today's episode. I'm hoping that, there's something here that will help you. Remember, you got this. I believe in you. Believe it. So that way you can believe in yourself too. Positive thoughts will help you get through the day. Well, if you got a minute, please subscribe to my YouTube page, tell everybody about it, share the episodes on your Facebook page, or share them whatever social media platform that you're on, because that's going to help us get out to everybody else. And I want to continue to help as many people as we can. Like I said, we've got over 2,500 downloads already in just 7 months, so we're doing pretty good. And I'm proud to say that you guys are my extended family, and thank you so much for listening. To just, share, subscribe, whatever the fancy lingo is for the social platforms. I really would appreciate it. If you have questions or anything, you're more than welcome to email them to me at seangmorris@gmail.com. I answer all the emails that come in. I don't get a ton of them, so it makes it easy to answer them all, but I try to answer them in a timely manner, and if there's something I can do to try to help you, that's what I want to do, to try to make things a little bit easier. But all I can say is enjoy the holiday season, not survive it, but enjoy it. So, okay, as always, guess what? I'm going to end the podcast with the typical dad joke of the day. And this is kind of a holiday one. I wanted to try to find a holiday one since this whole podcast was. So this is kind of a holiday one, which I thought I liked. So if you're ready to go and roll your eyes, here it is. Do you know why it is so cheap to throw a party in a haunted house? Because the ghosts bring all the booze. I love that one. I was like, that one is going on the podcast. Thanks so much for listening. You guys are amazing. You guys are the best. Thanks so much there for sharing, liking, subscribing, everything else that you can do to try to support. I appreciate it. And as always, all my love and support